All right, welcome inside the basement of the Rod Peterson Show bunker. I am producer Clark, and welcome back to another episode of the SquadCast. And I'm sitting in a different seat tonight. I don't know if you guys noticed that right off the bat, but I'm sitting in Max's chair. But you know what I want to know the best part about that is he's back with us. Mad Max joining in right now from his house. Max, how are you feeling, buddy? How you doing?
Tell you what, man, feeling a lot better than 7 days ago. Just really excited to get back to talking some sports with my good friend yourself. So I'm really looking forward to it. And yeah, on the mend, feeling better.
Absolutely, and we will get into that a little bit later. We have some news and notes to talk about with that, and we'll relate it to something that's happening right now, and I think it's actually really important. So make sure you guys stay tuned for that. Welcoming in Janelle Barkman, who's already sending us Facebook stars. Thank you, Janelle, so much. We got Patrick Janex checking in from Saskatoon. Losing to one of the worst teams again, LOL. When will the Jays learn not to get sloppy seconds from other teams? I think he's talking about your boy, Tanner Roark, Max. Darren Slade's checking in. Let's talk about how the Leafs dominated the Flames. We got all sorts of topics to talk about tonight. My dad's saying, hey, Max, glad you're on the mend, my friend. So there we go. And again, we'll get into that in a second. But hey, we are the SquadCast. You are the squad. You are the fanalists. Thanks for checking in here tonight. Make sure you give us a like and a share on our Facebook video. If you are watching on TikTok, make sure you check us out over on Facebook. I got it going over here, Max, again tonight. If you want the full show. But we are presented by Rockstar Supply Chains Solutions. Make sure you head up Roxanne and Darnell today. They're doing some great work over there, making sure that your business is ready to roll, and they have everything you need to run smoothly and operate efficiently. So check them out at rockstar.com, and you can check out all of the things that they can provide for you. They save you the headache, so you might as well check them out. If you run your own business, they can handle a lot of stuff for you. Before we get into too many other things, I just wanted to mention that today, of course, is the third year anniversary of the Humboldt bus crash. Max, we've talked about it a little bit off the air. I have a very personal story with that incident. I know a lot of people do. It's touched a lot of people. When we think of the Humboldt crash, what comes to mind for you when you remember back?
Honestly, it's wordless. At the end of the day, it's very, very difficult to put words to the situation that occurred on April 6, 2018. All that I know is that the magnitude and the impact on the lives of so many from Saskatchewan, near Saskatchewan, and all over the world. It was a story that spread far and wide, and it's amazing to see the tributes. It's amazing to see the memories carried on years later, and I hope it continues. Obviously, some news came of a tribute center that is soon to possibly be in development, and what better way to honor those than to get something like that underway. So all I can offer is my sincerest condolences 3 years later, and I know that many others feel the same way.
Absolutely. And again, I'm very indirectly touched by this, but having worked in the SJHL just a few years before that, if you can see here on the set, Jordan, I don't know if you can show this. This jersey was given to us by the Estevan Bruins just a few weeks ago, but the significance of it is this is from that 2018 season. There you go. So the Bruins were in the playoffs, and they had just defeated... Now, I'm trying to think who the team was that they beat to get to that part in the playoffs. I think it was Battlefords, but I'm not quite sure off the top of my head. But they were waiting for the winner of Nipawin and Humboldt. And Humboldt was on the way to play Nipawin. So I got a text message from a good buddy, Aaron Murphy. Aaron, I'm not sure if you're watching tonight, but Aaron said, hey, I heard that Humboldt's bus crashed. And I think a lot of Canadians across the country, any junior hockey person connected to junior hockey in any way, probably had a moment where they're like, oh, no, I hope that's not true. And I remember having that moment. I'm like, that can't be true. That can't be right. And to go to learn what happened and how heartbreaking that was for so many people. So it's the third year anniversary of that. And we think about all the 16. We think about everybody who was involved, and they will forever have a place in all of Canada's heart, all of the world's heart. So Humboldt's strong, and we'll get through it together, and we'll be better for it. Max, we're going to move on now. As always, we suggest that everybody asks us anything throughout the night. Send us any questions, send us comments. If you're tuning in on Facebook, send us comments and we'll reply to them right away. If you're watching on YouTube or TikTok or Twitter, we're all over the place. So send us comments throughout the night, and if you have any questions, we might turn into a big part of the show. So send it in now. Dylan Fournier, I think I'm seeing that, if I'm seeing this correctly, Dylan Fournier is sending us Facebook stars, if that's what it's. Now, Dylan Fournier, he just interviewed me for his podcast, For the Love of Hockey, so watch for that to drop pretty soon. So thank you, Dylan, for that. Donna Berger saying hugs to all the families. Special hug to Mark's and Dana's families and loved ones. Yes, everybody's connected to somebody that was involved in that. Jamie Anstey from Halifax. It is felt all over Canada, as I had a hard time hopping on the junior team bus earlier this year. Dylan Fournier couldn't agree more. We got a ton of green and yellow hearts coming into the comments. So yes, absolutely, a very special moment, on something that nobody will forget. That's for sure. Now, Max, now that we're getting into the comments, the topics. Now I got audio coming up on my computer. Great, super pro. But Max, our first topic of the night, and you're wearing the hat, I see. Actually, you know what? How about you break down the show for us, Max? I know you have your breakdown. You're back on the show. I'll let you have your moment. Give us the breakdown.
Fantastic, Clark. Well, it's episode 27, and oh, what a show. The Jays season is underway, and they're looking better than Bo's flow outside of Tanner Roark. We must throw that in there.
Yeah, let's just leave Tanner Roark out of this one.
Yeah. Well, he left himself out of this one.
Hey.
The Canucks have got some serious COVID issues. We certainly wish them the best. Their season, however, what happens there, Canucks fans, only time will tell, and hopefully a series of negative tests. Ken Reid pops by to talk Jays, pucks, analytics, and trading cards. Did we miss anything, Clark? Well, I'm sure we might also get his thoughts on young Pats phenom Connor Bedard. It's the Scott Niedermayer episode, show 27. We're sure glad you could stop by tonight to catch a small piece of our sports talk heaven.
Yeah, absolutely. There's a lot to dig into, and I think we'll start, like I said, you got your hat on. The Jays are off to a hot start. Not so much tonight, but we're not talking about tonight's game necessarily. Start with a 3-1 record. There's some very impressive performances, which we'll get into because I think the Vigor fan vote might be decided. So let's save our impressive performances for that. But overall, we got a 3-1 record through 4. I think they're losing to the Rangers right now. I don't know if you have an update on that, Max. I can't see the TV from here.
Yeah, might have the game on live near me. I might just be multitasking a little bit. Yeah, it's still 5-1, bottom of 4th right now.
Okay. So they're not so hot tonight, but that doesn't change how good they've started the season. So, we're going to get really into depth on this in our third segment after Ken Reid's interview. So I don't want to get into it too much, but quick glance. What are your thoughts so far?
Oh, I tell you what, man, 3-1 start. I mean, how do you script it any better than that without going too deeply into it? They've won some ball games. They've got some things to tighten up. But at the end of the day, we've seen some really good pitching performances. Steven Matz, Hyunjin Ryu doing what he did on opening day. A couple of bombs from Marcus Simeon. It's been all good so far for a 3-1 start. Hopefully they can get the ship righted tonight to maybe go to 4-1, but time will tell.
Yeah, we're going to dive real deep into the Blue Jays in our third segment tonight, so stay tuned for that. Moving along, the Vancouver Canucks, their season is looking like it's in jeopardy right now as the 20th team member has come forward today with a positive test. It sounds like it was Jake Virtanen. Overall, it doesn't really matter who it is that tested positive, but it sounds to me, and I've read some tweets, I've heard some talks about it, that it's not just one of those, hey, I got COVID, I got to sit out for a couple of days, I don't feel so good. It's getting pretty serious for a lot of these players. I heard that upwards of 10 to 15 of them are actually on IV. Now, Max, this is what we were going to get into. So you missed last week's episode, and we talked about how you were a bit under the weather. But can you tell the people here tonight kind of why you missed last episode and kind of what's been going on the last, I'm going to say 2 weeks nearly for you in your life?
Yeah, and I think maybe quite a lot of people could put 2 and 2 together. I've been out for a couple weeks now, and unfortunately, I did contract the virus. It was one of those things that kind of shook me a little bit. Obviously, it's been a full year and then some since we've been introduced to this COVID world, and I've certainly had my opinions on the matter as somebody who would very much like to see life get back to the way that it was beforehand. But man, I tell you, this was a sickness that I haven't experienced in a very, very long time. It really, really put me on my ass, without better words to describe it. I experienced 20 pounds of weight loss. I had a myriad of symptoms that just, like I said, we won't get into too deeply on the program here. We're keeping it a kid show, but man, it was a really, really rough 10 days. And just speaking to the Vancouver Canucks, man, if it's anything close to like what I went through, my thoughts and prayers are with them, because this illness is no joke. For anybody that has experienced it or know anybody who's experienced to its full degree, it is a nasty one. And I can only hope that these players and their families recover soon, recover healthily, and recover without too many side effects. It's something that's still being experienced in our home right now. And it's, like I said, it's certainly no joke to deal with. So at the end of the day, I'm on the mend, which I'm very, very thankful for. I'm very thankful to have such great support in my corner from people like yourself, from people like my girlfriend, my family. But yeah, at the end of the day, man, this illness and going through it really changed my perspective on things. That's for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. And, it touched me as well. I had to go get a test, so I'm all good.
Right.
So, we're all safe, and Max is on the mend now. So, things are looking a little bit better. So we're all good. But it was a learning lesson. We all learned a little something, I think. So like you said, it's a little bit, the perspective has changed slightly, and, now we're here. Moving along to the Canucks, staying with the Canucks, but moving along to the next kind of topic that's coming up now is, the debate is, are they going to play another game this season? And like you said, you were knocked on your ass. You had a tough time. You lost some weight. That's not good for a professional hockey player. You can't just bounce back. It's not. I heard Damian Cox had a steaming hot take where he said, is it a disadvantage if the Canucks come back and they're rested, whereas all these other teams are playing? And Eddie Lack came out, and good on Eddie Lack, said, have you heard of what COVID is? You're not rested. You feel like crap for 2 weeks. This isn't rest. So I don't know, Max. What are your thoughts? Like right now, I don't think you're dressing up to play a hockey game. So what do you think for the Vancouver Canucks? They've had almost their entire roster and staff members. Are they hitting the ice the rest of the year?
I stand with Eddie on that. It sounds like Damien is very misinformed in terms of what this virus can do to you. Just from a long-term standpoint, yeah, you go through it through 2 weeks just trying to get healthy. And it takes every ounce out of you just to try and get healthy and do the right things. Even standing up in the shower for 30 seconds was something that was a chore and a half. So to be a professional hockey player and to go through the grind and just everything that goes into it, my goodness. And like I said, this is where Eddie could probably speak to it a heck of a lot more than I can, but it's going to be a good month and a half, possibly even 2, for this team to get back to any semblance of what it was. And unfortunately, I just don't see a way for them to get back to it. And honestly, I'm not necessarily sure hockey should be the priority right now for these guys. I think getting back to full health, getting their families back to full health, that is the number one thing above all here. And that's something that I sorely missed in terms of perspective a little bit earlier on in this process. But man, for the Canucks, I just hope that they can get better. I hope that for their fans, they can play a few more games this season. But at the end of the day, I don't see them being the team that they once were before this, especially if it is swept through to 90 to 95% of their squad. It's going to be real tough coming back the way that they were pre-COVID illness for sure.
Yeah, I completely agree. Now, Max, as you know, I'm live on TikTok right now, so I'm just going to catch up really quick. I'm getting some comments because, like I said to you, I think the last time you were on, I was live, and it looks weird for TikTok because it's just me talking into a mic in a green room, and you're not. Nobody can hear you. So I'm just going to flip the camera around for those watching. I got 20 people watching right now. That's Max. He's my co-host. And you can't hear him, but he's talking half of the time. And I'm in here. Yes. Somebody just said, the guy's on mute, or does he actually talk? He talks. If you want to watch the full show, if you want to see the full show in its full effect with the background and everything, Facebook.com/the SquadCast. You can check us out there. Or we're actually live on Twitter at Team RP Show. You can check out the full show in its full glory. Actually, you can send in comments as well that could change the direction of the show. So make sure you do that. Somebody says, is this the Rod Peterson show that Mike Babcock came on? Sort of. This is the same studio. I produced that show, but I'm actually hosting my own show right now. So I'm live on the air. So I can't really keep talking, but we're going to talk about the rest of the topics on the show. So if you want to see the full show, facebook.com/the SquadCast, and let us know that's where you're watching from or you're coming
world.
from.
Holy, this is
it's just crazy, man. TikTok's nuts.
Quite
TikTok's
thing,
nuts. So our next topic of discussion, Max, and this one kind of took the football world by storm today, and I know we were talking about it earlier. There's a lot of people with some takes on it. Sam Darnold goes from the New York Jets to the Carolina Panthers in a massive trade just before the draft. They only get a 6th-round pick, a 2nd next year, and a 4th next year for a guy who could potentially be your franchise quarterback. There's the trade on the board right now. So I don't know, Max. This, to me, seems like Carolina's making a big push, and they're looking to make a bit of a run at it in the NFC South, where my Falcons play, and my Falcons aren't looking too hot, and the Saints are making a transition, and the Buccaneers, how much longer can that sustain itself with Tom Brady and everything they've got going on? This might be a power move by the Carolina Panthers. What do you think?
Yeah, and there's some rumblings going around that your Falcons might be shopping that 4th overall pick. But yeah, no, for the Panthers, it definitely signals a change in direction. Obviously, they committed to Teddy Bridgewater, a 3-year, $60 million deal ahead of last season. Unfortunately, things didn't quite work out. Christian McCaffrey was on the shelf for most of the year with various injuries. And man, I guess it doesn't matter. It's a business. If you think you should be winning and you're not, and there's an opportunity to make your football team better, that's clearly what the Carolina Panthers are exploiting here. When you look at Sam Darnold and you look at the body of work that he's put together in New York, it's going to be very interesting to see what he does outside of the shadow of Adam Gase. I really like the move for the Panthers. I think Sam Darnold still has some football in him. And at the end of the day, it's a 50-year option experiment. We'll see what happens. But if you're a Carolina Panthers fan, I think you welcome the change, and just to see the fact that the team is taking a position saying, hey, last year wasn't acceptable. We need to get better. What better way to do it than a guy who's hungry and motivated to come out and put on a show?
Absolutely. I think it's going to be great, and it just makes that NFC South even more competitive. And again, I think the Saints being in transition, the Falcons, who knows? The Panthers are making this move with the thought of pushing for a playoff spot. They're not messing around right now. Sam Darnold goes from a messy Jets organization to a team that has some weapons, has some pieces, and they still have their first round draft pick too. So they have some arsenals, some stuff in their arsenal to make some moves this offseason going forward. So I think the Panthers are in a great position now. If they can build correctly around Sam Darnold, they might have a chance to take over that division. I'll be curious. We got Aaron Matthews checking in. I believe he's checking in from over on TikTok. Aaron, thank you for that. Robin Wildy says, this segment interrupted by TikTok. So very funny. Again, some people are saying, what's the Facebook? Facebook.com/the SquadCast. The SquadCast. You can check us out there. Next topic of discussion, then we're going to break because we got Ken Reid from Sportsnet coming up right away.
Yes, sir.
This is interesting, and it's taking over the sports world. There's a lot of debate going on about it. The Texas Rangers have a full capacity stadium, 40,000 plus. Is it a brand new park too? Was this like the opening of the park?
Yeah.
Brand new ballpark in Texas. There it is. There's an actual picture from the game. If you're watching on Facebook, you can see it, or Twitter or YouTube. Packed stadium. Brand new, gorgeous stadium, by the way. Texas does it right. We all know that. But they have a full stadium. Now, it's getting a lot of debate online. A lot of people up in Canada are taking, I'm not going to say taking offense to this, but a lot of people aren't okay with this overall. Some Americans are saying, what's the big deal? Let's move on. Texas specifically, obviously, they're ready to move on. So, Max, I don't know. What do you think? What have you seen? What have you heard on this?
I think this is where it comes down to you're breaking down ideologies internationally, right? You're looking at Canadian versus American and a heck of a lot of politics that are way above my pay grade. All I'll say is this, you know what, at the end of the day, if restrictions are being somewhat enforced, if there's some sort of system in place to acknowledge that, hey, you're coming to this ballpark, you've been vaccinated. At the end of the day, life is going to move on at some point. With regards to my stance on it and what I personally just went through, I don't think I'd be one of the 40,000 lining up, to be perfectly honest, outside of the ballpark right now with what's going on. But at the same time, I can certainly see where people have opinions otherwise. And you know what, at the end of the day, for themselves, it was a nice 3-hour getaway to enjoy the ballpark and enjoy what they're used to and what they're knowing. And we all know that Texas was going to be one of the ones moving at the speed of light here. So they've proved it. Let's just hope that as many people are safe and healthy as a result of this ball game and getting things back opened up as possible.
Yeah, absolutely. So that's going to cover that, I think. If anyone else has any opinions, please send us some comments over on Facebook. Dylan Fournier says, I hate this. It looks disgusting to me. Chad Isaac is saying Biden told them no and shouldn't open, but the state of Texas pretty much said, too bad, we're doing it anyways. And Chad Isaac's also saying the Jays spoiled it for them too. Yeah, they did. Tonight they're not faring so well though. I got it back there over on the TV. I just can't see it. But so next up for us, we got the Vigor fan vote coming up, and this one we're going to dive right back into the Jays a little bit. We still have our big Jays segment coming up in segment 3, so make sure you stay tuned for that if you want to talk baseball. But Max, the surprising Jays. So for this one, the Vigor fan vote brought to you by Vigor Lifestyles, of course. Let's roll the graphic really fast for our good friends over there. There they are. That the surprising Jays won with a 37% of the vote. Trade bait talk didn't win. They won 2 weeks in a row, but they didn't win this week. So the trade bait talk is out. The Calgary Flames flaming out, so to speak. That lost out. It was close though. And Clark on the Leafs.
Good writing, whoever came up with that.
It was a combination. You came up with it. I reworded it. It's all good. Team effort.
Good stuff.
Clark on the Leafs only got 15% of the vote, so didn't do very good. However,
tough.
If you want to see my Clark on the Leafs rant, make sure you check out I'm super Canadian saying it that way. Check out the Offside Hockey podcast. Jamie Anstey had me on a minute ago. I gave my Clark on the Leafs rant to him, so he's got it over there if you want to see it. But we're talking about surprising Jays. So, Max, I guess let's take this opportunity to talk about a couple of guys who might be kind of stepping up when we didn't think they would. And if I can take the lead on this one, first guy is Steven Matz. This guy had the second most strikeouts in a Blue Jays debut since David Price at 11. He had 9, I believe. And he had more strikeouts in his first outing than any Blue Jays starter did all of last season. So I think that's pretty impressive. Now this guy comes to us from the New York Mets, and he was one of those bounce back year candidates. And I didn't expect a ton out of the guy. Maybe a 4th, 5th starter. We talked about it a lot throughout the entire offseason. If he can just give us some innings, that's enough. But if he's going to become a guy who can kind of be a reliable starter and give us some quality starts, that's massive, Max. Like, I can't understate how massive that is for the Blue Jays if Steven Matz is reliable. Now you see guys like Tanner Roark coming out today, blowing it, that we all kind of thought he was going to. No, sorry, Tanner, but we all kind of thought that. He didn't show anything last year. So you get Robbie Ray back. You get, Hyun-Jin Ryu doing his thing. Nate Pearson's actually sounds like he's not that far off. You're starting to see maybe they didn't have to make a move. Maybe they're going to be okay. What are your takes on Matz, I guess, quickly, and then who's your surprising Jay?
Yeah, for sure. Just quickly on Matt, 6 1/3, 9 strikeouts, 1 earned run, 2 hits. What more can you ask for the guy in his debut? He was absolutely rock solid. And I tell you, man, his stuff looks sustainable. It looks like it's something that could be performed throughout the entire year. Albeit Texas isn't the most highly publicized team in terms of what they're supposed to do this year, but they're putting the bat on the ball tonight. So, I mean, at the end of the day, you still got to be able to get the ball past some big league bats. I really like what he put together. My surprise guy through 4 or 5 games, maybe not necessarily a surprise rather, but Randall Richik. Man, is he off to a hot start. With his hit tonight, he's 7 for 14. He's hitting 500 on the year. He's got a 12-game hit streak going back to last season. This dude just flat out seems to be a team guy. And I know that a lot was made of bringing in George Springer and Grichuk possibly being the odd man out. But, man, if he keeps playing ball the way that he's playing, he is not going to find himself on the outside of too many Charlie Montoyo lineups. At the end of the day, I'm really impressed with Randall's start, and he seemed to have adapted to being the 8-hole guy, batting a little lower in the lineup and seeing seeing some nice pitches that he's taken advantage of early on in the season. So that's my guy that's really had a really hot start that I'm impressed with.
And Max, I texted you last night and I said, I don't care what anyone says. I like Randall Richik. I like the guy. So I'm pumped about that too. We're going to get more into the Blue Jays again, like I said, in segment 3, so stick around for that. We're going to hit a break right now, but before we do that, just another shout out to Vigor Lifestyles. Also the top of the order, just a quick shout out, Flame Tech Combustion Services. Thanks to those guys. We'll give them one more week, Max. But also Vigor Fan Vote, brought to you by Vigor Lifestyles. Visit vigor.ca. That's VIGR.ca to check out their full lineup of natural health and healing supplements today, like the Elk Velvet Antler, which, Max, I'm out of, and I'm a sad panda because I haven't had my Elk Velvet Antler. Maybe you could use a little bit of that too, my friend. Might help you out right now. But that's Vigor, again, that's VIGR.ca to check out their entire lineup today. We're going to hit a break, and when we come back, Ken Reid from Sportsnet joins us. Don't rack your brain trying to source the equipment and materials you need for your business. Rockstar can operate your entire supply chain, from PO creation to expediting your shipments, all from our office. Leverage the buying power of the Rockstar buying group to not only save money and time, but also the headache. From gloves to glue, we can provide it for you. Find out more at rockstar.com.
Comfort has always been something we, as people, strive for. It means that the places we live and work, and that the people we care most about, are able to go about their lives focusing on the things that matter. While the world seems to be facing one challenge after another, our focus at Flame Tech has remained the same for more than 20 years. Now more than ever, we need each other to support our local businesses. As an industry leader in combustion services, we are proud to attend to the needs of our communities and support the local economy.
He's covering everything that matters to you. It's the Rod Peterson Show. Tune in live Monday to Friday, 10 a.m. to noon to catch the show live and be a part of the action. Take control by commenting live and sharing the show with your friends.
Everyday hoop life. Every day, baby.
IKS Live, Western Canada's premier production services company. LED sign rentals, video production, event management. Look no further than IKS Live. Visit our website, IKS Live. Always the best seat in the house. IKS Live.
All right, welcome back to the SquadCast. Max is back. We're super pumped to have him. And not only is Max back, but we have another returning guest to the show. Not only is our featured guest tonight a best-selling author, anchor at Sportsnet Central, and a noted friend on Sportsnet's Tim and Friends, but he is also now a two-time guest of the SquadCast. Welcome back to the program, Ken Reid. Ken, maybe let's kick things off. We got the return of the Mac, so to speak. Ivanka Osmak is back.
Yeah.
How excited are you to have her back?
It's good. It's band's back together. She came back last night from a year of mat leave, so that's wicked. I mean, I'm pumped to have her back. Like we did 3 shows together last night, so by the third one we were chirping each other and away we went. So it was great. It was a lot of fun. It's nice to have her back. It's when you're partners with somebody, right? It's nice to dance with other people, but you know what I mean? Like, you want to, dance with your partner. So it was good. It's nice to have her back.
Well, that's how I feel about my little buddy Max below me on the TV screen here. Exactly. Kenny, I wanted to start this one off on a bit of a serious note. And when I say serious note, I'm talking about Daryl Sutter. So we've been talking about the Calgary Flames here tonight a little bit. And, I'm curious about your thoughts on Sutter's return to Calgary and kind of how that organization is kind of floundering right now.
Well, I think in order for Daryl Sutter to succeed as a coach, he needs Daryl Sutter type players. I don't think the roster, as it's currently put together in Calgary, has enough Daryl Sutter type players. I mean, you can try to change a guy, and sometimes you can, but I think after a while, people just are who they are. And I think that core of Calgary, they're probably just not buying into what he's selling. I think this is it for Johnny Gaudreau. You have to wonder about, the core of the Flames. As I said, are they going to change it all in the offseason? And I would have to lean toward yes, because it just doesn't work. I mean, it looked like they were going to be flying under Daryl the way it started. But I think, if anything, and you also need saves in the NHL, let's face it. I mean, they thought Markstrom was going to stop more pucks than this. You can analyze the game all we want. Sometimes you just need stops to be made. But I would say that the current group of players in Calgary have proven that it's not the coaching, because how many coaches have they been through and they just can't get over this hump they keep running into?
Absolutely. That's exactly what we've been talking about. If you can't get a guy like, if a guy like Daryl Sutter can't whip the team into shape, I think it's deeper than coaching. So I think that's exactly what you're saying.
Yeah, it's not the coach. They've been through, I don't know how many coaches. I mean, geez, that's the last year and a half, 2 years, there's 3. So it's not the coaching that's the problem in Calgary.
So I know the Maple Leafs don't get a whole lot of attention from the media.
No, none.
But they've quietly managed to stay on top of the North Division after even a bit of a slump. So are you on the bandwagon that they're the top team in the North right now, or is somebody else still creeping on them?
Well, I mean, I always laugh at power rankings, right? Power rankings, the top teams in the NHL. I'm like, isn't that what standings are for? So, I mean, statistically, they're the best team in their division. There's no doubt about it. They finally got their power play going last night against Calgary. And again, call the game goaltending. Jack Campbell's been great.
Whew.
I think if they're going to do any damage, Campbell has to be the guy. I don't think they can go back to Freddie at this point. I think they have to go with Campbell moving forward. I love the way that Kyle Dubas branched out and got away from, the analytics and brought in Wayne Simmons and a player and a Joe Thornton, veteran guys who are proving their worth, although Thornton's kind of cooled off, at least statistically, the last little while. But, I mean, I like Winnipeg a lot. And, I said this at the start of the season, and I truly mean it. I said Montreal is built for postseason hockey. They're not built for regular season hockey. So if they can get into the postseason, I would not bet against the Montreal Canadiens. And it looks like they're going to get into the postseason. And when you go to the playoffs with, if Carey Price gets back to being Carey Price. So if you were to look at the playoffs right now from the North, I say the 2 teams that would meet in the playoffs would be Winnipeg and Montreal. And I'm saying that just based on goaltending. Because if Hellebuck's Hellebuck and Price is Price, they're going to be tough to beat in the first round. So I know that's going to stir the pot. And predictions, I suck at predictions like everybody else, right? Like who the frig knows? But fine. I mean, we all do. On that one. But that's why they play the games. This is what I always try to talk to the computer people and the analytic people. Like, you have to play the games, right? That's what the best part about sports is. Yeah. So I think for me, Toronto's the top team. I mean, everyone's going to hate me because I'm saying that and I'm sitting in Toronto. But if people knew where my hockey allegiances lied, they probably wouldn't throw tomatoes at me and things like that.
Well, we'll put up the shields for you if people start throwing tomatoes. But as of right now, the Leafs would play the Canadiens in round 1 and the Oilers would play the Jets. So I'm already looking forward to it. It should be a fun time. Now,
if they matched up that way, I would take the Jets. I would take the Jets and I would take the Canadiens.
There you go.
Just because I'm a contrarian.
There you go. I like it. And now, one thing, the trade deadline as we talk right now is under a week away. And I'm just curious, Ken, if you just walk around the studio, walk around the old office, how often are you peeking over Elliot Friedman's shoulder and Chris Johnston, trying to steal their phones and see who they're texting? What's it like around this time of year for the Sportsnet studios?
Well, it's COVID, so I'm not allowed to walk around. Fair. I come in here and I come right to this seat, which is hilarious. Yeah, it's They're busy. Chris and Elliot, I mean, I don't know how they do that job. I wouldn't want that job for the life of me, like to be constantly on call. I grew up, my dad was a doctor and the phone would ring at all hours of the night. Small town doc, so at 4 a.m. he'd have to go to deliver a baby, or somebody would come in from a fight at the tavern. He'd have to go stitch them up at 2:30 on a Saturday night. And I always thought, man, that would stink. And the closest thing in our industry to being an on-call doctor is to be an insider. So yeah, I think the trade deadline is just going to be so interesting this year. I'm actually working it. They're going to have Jerry D and I in a studio on Sportsnet. I don't know what the hell they're expecting, but it could be fun. I know Jerry pretty well, and so that could be entertaining. But it's so weird, right? Like, is Vancouver just can they trade anyone now? Like, what goes on with that? There's so many weird variables out there right now. If you're Calgary, do you really want to trade guys now, or do you want to wait till the off season when you can totally restructure? So there's so much going on, but there will be trades. I mean, I thought Nashville had all these guys to sell off, and suddenly they're back in the playoff picture. So yeah, I'm sure Chris and Elliot, their phones are buzzing and going wild, but my phone's just my wife telling me to bring home milk after work, lactose free, I might add.
Always a good message, because it's one of those things we always forget. But one you mentioned it. The tough part about the NHL this year is that every game is a 4-point game, and even if you're 6-8 points out of the playoffs, that's a hot week away from a playoff spot. So it's going to be a weird year. A lot of hesitation, I would think, right?
Yeah, I think really weird, because I think in the North we know who's going to the playoffs. There's some other divisions where things are really bunched up. Like, look at Chicago. I think Chicago probably started the year going, okay, we'll play the year out and we'll move some pieces and rebuild. Well, they're in the playoff hunt. Nashville, they were out. They're back in the playoff hunt. It's just a really, really strange year. If you're Calgary, Ottawa, and Vancouver, if you're running those teams, I think you probably, if you look at it, you're going to go, okay, we got to rebuild for the future. We're on the playoff hunt. But really, what can they do? How many pieces can they move? Does anybody want anybody from Vancouver? Buffalo, I mean, they got to blow that thing up. So, I mean, Taylor Hall's scratch against New Jersey, so he's definitely on the market. So, for some teams it's obvious, but I think it's just so interesting this year, especially when you bring into account the Canadian teams bringing in someone from the States. They have to wait a week, which worked out in the case of Eric Stahl very nicely last night. That's a way to make good new buddies, eh? Score the overtime winner in your first game with your new team. Yeah. But yeah, I think it's going to be a trade deadline like no other. I'm no insider. I just don't really know what to expect, because there's so many different variables that go into it this year.
Well, Ken, if I can recall, Max, I'll let you. I know you want to get into the Jays really quick, Max. But Ken, if I can recall, I believe it was you on with Tim and Friends, and Max Domi called in. Am I correct in saying that?
Yep.
Yeah, and Max, one of his sentiments was, going to a new team in this year is a lot different than going to a new team any other year. Can you just touch on kind of what that was about?
Yeah, I just asked Max. You're with a new team, and part of being on a new team, it isn't just figuring out what line you are on and what your system is. It's fitting in with the boys. And what's it like to play on a new team where you can't go out for a beer, or you can't go out for a restaurant, or you can't go out and just, be one of the guys. The only time they see their teammates is at the rink. How do you fit in? And I can only imagine what this year must be like. I'm thinking for younger players, maybe with a language barrier, maybe they're coming over from Europe, they're trying to fit in. I can't imagine how challenging that would be. I think it's a story that probably has a lot of angles to it, but I think it's really challenging for guys to fit in after a trade, especially this year. So, part of being a team is becoming a team and developing that chemistry and wanting to block a shot or take a punch for another guy. And that's different this year. And with the deadline, I mean, think about it. If you're traded at the deadline, you're coming in. Usually, you get traded. Maybe you'll go to dinner with the boys. You'll swap a few stories. I know this guy. I know that guy. You form a bond. This year, it's just at the rink. And the game's played at the rink, but you bond in a lot of different places than just the rink. So I think it's a really challenging time for guys on new teams this season.
Yeah, absolutely, Ken. And I think I know we've seen a couple of examples with that. Obviously, Patrick Laine in Columbus having a bit of a tough time getting adjusted. I'm sure, and again, along with Max Domi being in the same place, I can only imagine those guys could probably do well for maybe going for a wobbly pop or two with the boys to maybe get things squared away and straightened away. But
Laine may want a few, given who's coaching.
Yeah, no kidding. Absolutely.
Torch doesn't really seem like a Laine type coach, right? Like a super skilled guy. You gotta. I always get a kick out of people like, oh, he doesn't play a 200-foot game. I'm like, you got other guys to do that. The other guys don't snipe at will. Let guys do what they do, right? It's like hiring 10 contractors to build your house, and you go, well, that guy doesn't do flooring. Yeah, but he's the best roofer around. Let him roof. Let people do what they do. I don't understand. I get it for the periphery guys. You got to learn to play a 200-foot game if you want to survive in the NHL. But if you got a Patrick Laine, let him be Patrick Laine. I don't understand that. But then again, that's why I'm sitting here and not behind a bench.
100%. But you know what? At the end of the day, I guess we'll see what Torts does. And I don't know. I think there's maybe rumblings of a Ricard Gronberg possibly looking to be eyeing up that spot behind the Columbus bench. It'll be a very interesting offseason in Columbus nonetheless. But I guess switching from an offseason to the start of a new season, the Jays are off to a 3-1 start. I don't know about you, but I'm super excited about what I've seen on the dime in the first 4 games. I'm just looking to get your take on it. What have you seen? What have you liked? What have you maybe not liked so much through these first 4 out of 162?
Well, most impressive thing for me so far is I've said it the last few months, this is awesome, but who's going to pitch? Well, so far they've gotten pitching. So to me, that's the one thing that stands out through the first 4 games of the season. We knew they were going to rake. Looking at the lineup, this lineup can hit, but for me, it was who's going to pitch. So far they've gotten pitching. So you're about 2% of the way through the season. So you got a long way to go. But I could never stand, a team starts 1-3. It's early. Well, wins still count in April, just as much as they count in September. So you get out in front of the cart, in front of the horse, whatever the heck the term is. No, the pitching's been great. The bullpen's been fantastic, and to me, that is what I like. That is what stands out for me. I've also, Vladdy Guerrero Jr., let's face it, he's not Al Oliver down there at first base, but he's been impressive. He's got a nice set of hands on him. I think that's a great sign. Like the stretching is one thing. He's flexible, too, and the weight's gone, which is great, but I'm impressed with him at first. I know he's probably not going to win a Gold Glove, but he's got good hands down there. He's picking balls out of the dirt. So, pitching's been the best surprise, and I think the offense has probably gone as expected. This is a team that's going to score a lot of runs. If you like watching ball games where it's 7-5, 8-6, this could be a fun team. But then again, they're not giving up a lot of runs through the first few games. So that's the most impressive thing for me by far.
Absolutely. And you know what? I tell you what, it was very impressive on TV to watch yesterday. The new stadium, Globe Life Field, looks incredible in Texas. And the other thing, I guess, that was kind of new and shiny that we haven't seen in a long time is a ballpark full of fans. I'm interested in your take on that. What do you think of them just down in Texas saying, alrighty, let's let her rip. Let's have 40,000 plus and let's see what happens. What did you make of seeing a ballpark full of fans again, Ken?
Well, it's a little boggling to the eyes, but hey, man, it's Texas. I expected they would be among the first to do it. And let me tell you, sitting in Ontario with how we've been dealing with COVID, I'm not throwing any stones. I'll leave it at that.
That's probably fair. That's
very fair. Yeah.
Yeah.
I figure I might get vaccinated by 2037.
Yeah, one of the names that has kind of popped out in the early running for the Jays is Julian Merryweather, and he was literally
there's another guy, right? That's impressive.
He's literally the PTBNL, as Max put in the script, the player to be named later for Josh Donaldson 3 years ago. It feels like a long time, but we had Tim Leeper. Here's a little backstory. Coach Tim Leeper, who's now with the San Francisco Giants, but he was on the Rod Peterson show. As you know, that's our father show or mother show, whatever you want to call it. He was on this morning, and he was talking to Rod about how a late inning role for Julian, who's a guy who's had issues with arm health in his career, is kind of something that he can kind of look forward to, because it gives him a bit more of a routine rather than being a guy who comes in maybe in the 6th or maybe in the 7th. And, if he knows he's coming in late, he can just go in there and fireball it. What's been the vibe around the office about Julian Merryweather early on so far?
Sure. So your perceived closer goes out and needs Tommy John. Okay. So it's who's going to close. Merryweather, obviously, he's got the pedigree. He was a higher round selection and was selected by Atkins and the boys back in the day when they were in Cleveland, so they knew him. But for a guy to come in and throw 99 consistently out of the pen, it's pretty amazing. He struck out the side there, and I think he was 2 pitches away from an immaculate inning in his first game with the Jays. But yeah, I heard an interesting interview with him on the radio the other day, and he was saying how adjusting to the bullpen, he kind of figured out through trial and error last year that this year he's not going to just sit there and chuck 25 fastballs, in the bullpen as he gets ready to come out, kind of almost gassed. So I think he's learned to be a better bullpen pitcher this year coming out of the pen. I think that's smart. That's using the old head. I like Jordan Romano in the pen as well. But if Merryweather emerges as this closer, and if we know one thing about the bullpen for the last few years for the Blue Jays is they've had decent bullpens, and it's just kind of been bullpen by committee. Like, they haven't gone out and gotten this big stud name to come in and throw out of the pen. You're just hoping 2 or 3 arms would emerge. That's kind of what's happened over the last few years. And I think they're hoping for that this year. So far, so really good, actually. Rafael Dolis has been the only guy that kind of hasn't delivered. He's struggled with control. He did finish out the game yesterday, but he struggled with walking guys. But yeah, Merryweather, high pedigree guy. I want to say he's 29 years old. So sometimes it takes a while, right? So that's fine too. Not everybody's an overnight sensation, right? Some guys are Dwight Gooden and they peak when they're 19. Maybe other guys peak when they're in their 30s. So you never know. But Merryweather's been a great. I don't know if surprise is the right word, but he's been great the first few days. But again, long season, but all signs point to very well so far.
Fantastic, Ken. And you know what? Yeah, absolutely. I'm going to take us way off the rails here, because this is something that I wanted to talk with you about last time, and something that has always been near and dear to my heart. But a nice little cardboard graphic image, beautiful hockey card here of our favorite player of all time, Paul Kariya. I'm just curious, Ken, as to your thoughts as to, I guess, the traditionalist in you. Do you prefer the old school hockey cards like I still do? Or what do you make of all this new Top Shot digital kind of new age industry when it comes to certainly a hobby of mine that has been near and dear to my heart for a long time, and I know has been as well as yours?
Yeah, well, I'm an old school hockey card, baseball card collector, and I like the old stuff. When I go to shows, I collect old stuff. If it's a table with the new stuff, I just kind of walk by it. Doesn't really do it for me. But no offense to those who do like the new stuff. I think it's great. Whatever you collect, as long as you're happy collecting it, go for it. The Top Shot stuff, it's mind-boggling to me. Jesse opened a pack on Tim and Friends. The NHL would be awfully, foolish to pass up a chance if they can get in on it. I mean, the way it's set up is mind-boggling. The NBA gets 5% of every sale, whether it's a secondary sale or not. And that's always the thing with hockey cards, right? Is the NHL and the PA, they get a licensing fee from a pack sold. But after that, if you're Chris Pronger rookie sells for whatever, well, I get that or you get that. But yeah, I like my old school cards. But if you like your new school cards, that's fine too, as long as you're collecting and having fun. It's like, I like driving, right? I drive my GMC Acadia. Some other dude drives his Tesla. Another guy drives his Porsche. Whatever, as long as you like driving. I don't care. And my message to people when they ask, what should I do? I just say, collect what you want. And if you want a 10-cent 1981 Mark Lofthouse card, or the brand new one of one, fresh out of the pack, Connor McDavid, the Cup, have at it. Whatever you want to do is fine with me. So, and that's a revelation for me, because I'm usually an angry old guy.
Get off my lawn, hey?
Fantastic.
Yeah.
So, Kenny, last time we had you on, it was shortly after the release of your latest book, One to Remember, bestseller, by the way.
Is it?
I think.
Awesome.
Well, I think it says, well, you're a best-selling author. So it says that on the book. It says
Right. I don't know
best-selling
if this
author.
one's a bestseller.
Yeah. Well, this one...
Don't say this one's a bestseller yet, because then no one will buy it. So if you say it's not a bestseller yet,
It's a best read by me, though.
Buy the book.
A best reader.
Oh, yeah.
So last time we had you on, I remember asking you specifically, when's the next one coming? And you kind of gave me the, come on, guys, I just finished this one. Let me have a breather here. So have you started getting an itch again, Ken? Or how's the author in you feeling right now?
Yeah, I got the itch again, and I have an idea, and I told my wife about it today, and I'm like, what am I doing? So it's work.
Can we break the idea on the show tonight?
No, because it might not happen, and it's probably a stupid idea. But there is an ex-player that I've been talking to for a while, and we've been talking about maybe doing something together. But honestly, with this pandemic stuff and the kids at home, there's no time for me to write. I work nights. The kids are home during the day. School's canceled in Toronto starting tomorrow. And I have no time, so I don't know when I do it. But yeah, I got a little itchy there today, thinking about a book idea. And there's another ex-player that I just exchanged messages with over the weekend. And I'm like, do I want to go there? Do I want to write another book? So it's something to think about. I mean, if you banked a Brinks truck full of cash up to my house, I'd be typing tomorrow. But the Canadian publishing world sadly doesn't work that way. I haven't quite written Harry Potter yet, but I do it because I enjoy it. And when you enjoy it, it's easy. If I do another book, I will do it because I enjoy it, but I need that free time to do it. Like that. It's funny. Everyone thought the last year I would have gotten all this writing done, but you can't do anything with the kids at home. It's just, it cannot be done. You know, have you guys seen the movie Stand By Me when he's the Richard Dreyfuss character's typing the story and he's telling the kids, just wait a sec. I don't want to be that guy. I want to write when the kids are at school and not around, so I don't miss out on dadding, which I do enjoy more than writing.
Absolutely. And all the power to you on that one. I have two of my own, and I can totally sympathize with that. But you mentioned a couple former players. You've worked with a couple of great ones on some of your other books. One thing that I've always loved to ask, especially guys like yourself who are lovers of the classics, if there is a player that you could bring back in the NHL specifically, let's say, who would thrive in today's game. And the reason I asked that, Ken, is because we had Dale Derkach here in the studio for the other show not that long ago. And I don't know if you know Dale. I'm assuming you might have an idea of Dale Derkach. He was a Regina Pats superstar. He's about 5'4". So he's tiny, and he was around in the 80s Oilers era. So he actually was drafted, or at least they brought him. The Oilers brought him in for a tryout. He couldn't crack the roster, but he went over to Europe and had an amazing career. Now, if he would have played in today's era, hypothetically, he might have fit in a little bit better with the way younger and smaller players are coming into the league. So if there was a player that you loved back in the day that you think would thrive today, who would it be?
Okay, that didn't thrive in the past,
maybe he did,
possibly even way more.
Maybe he did.
Okay, so there's a couple guys in that. There's a couple guys in that book: Darren Haydar and Mickey Dupont. People out west would definitely know the name Mickey Dupont. Great junior player. Played a bit of time with Calgary. I think he would just be awesome today. Darren Haydar was an AHL stud. He sounds like your buddy from the Pats there, just too small and passed over. I think he would thrive today. And Darren just missed the window. Like he was just wrapping up in 2008, so he just missed the window. Kid from my neck of the woods who was CHL Defenseman of the Year when he played with the Rimouski Oceanic. He played about 80 games for Columbus, named Derek Walser. Derek was the most skilled kid. He was 5'10", a defenseman, 185. Just that didn't happen back in the day, right?
Yeah.
I think Derek would be a fantastic player now. He's an assistant coach with the Peterborough Petes now. He had a fantastic career in Europe. I would love to see Paul Kariya in today's NHL.
Tell me about it.
When you look at the numbers that Paul Kariya put up, the size that he was and the era he played in, it's just like, really? He did that? That's incredible. But Paul's obviously a name that doesn't slip under the radar, but I always thought he'd be great in today's NHL. But just like off the top of my head, I think of a Mickey Dupont. I think of a Darren Haydar. And I think of a Derek Walser, and I'll also throw another one in there, another guy who was signed by the Oilers. He actually played for the Cape Breton Oilers, Fabian Joseph. He played in the Olympics for Canada in 92 and 94, won 2 silver medals. Wrong era, wrong time, man. Fabian was an undersized guy, and I think he'd be a great NHL player these days. And there's so many of those guys, you know?
Yeah.
Just wrong place, wrong time. And I'm sure now there's guys out there who are 6'4", 240, not the fleetest of foot, but they can get pucks in deep. And they were saying, oh, man, I wish it was 1993 again, because then they'd be playing, right? So it all comes in waves and different eras, right? And then there's me. Like, I think if I was around 1870 when hockey was invented, I can cross over both ways now and I can stop now. I probably would have been pretty decent.
Well, there you go.
But my body is designed for peak midget C in this point in time. So that is what it is.
We would have had a hell of a line back then, all three of us. I'm with you on that, Ken. I think 1870 would have been my prime as well.
There might be
we've mastered the forward pass there right now.
Oh yeah. Yeah, there might be a TV series there.
Hockey Back to the Future. Yeah, I mean, I can do the forward pass, you know, things like that. I'd still be scared though. So guys, because hockey was tough then. It was like rugby on ice, so the guys would beat me up. So maybe I'll take that back. I won't. Yeah, I'm gonna take that all back.
Yeah, I found my niche in the hockey world
talking about it.
We're definitely fans of the Paul Kariya option. We got a couple of his bobbleheads here in the studio. We got the old Ducks.
Beautiful hockey player.
Oh yeah. Yeah. Old Ducks, old Team Canada. Speaking of the Ducks, good segue actually.
Yeah.
What have you seen, or are you going to check out the new Mighty Ducks Game Changers series, which is out on Disney Plus? Are you avoiding it?
No. And I'll tell you why. So Carly Agro, I was working with her for a while in the winter because she was filling in for Ivanka, and she would get on. I'd say, "Have you seen Slapshot yet?" She said, "No." And then she'd say, "Have you seen Mighty Ducks?" I said, "No." "How have you not seen Mighty Ducks?" "When did it come out?" 1993. I said, "I was a man in 1993. Like, I was a grown man. And by grown man, I mean 19, 20 years old. I wasn't going to sit down and watch a children's hockey movie about a team from wherever that does whatever." And so, you know, during the pandemic, my kids are 8 and 6, and they wanted to watch Mighty Ducks. That's great. So I kind of watched it with them, you know. And if I was an 8-year-old or a 10-year-old, I think it was great. And if I was 10 years old in 1993 or 12 years old in 1993 and grew up watching Mighty Ducks, I'd be so psyched to watch this new Mighty Ducks series. But I didn't. Why? Because when Mighty Ducks came out, I was a grown man. So the series I enjoy is Cobra Kai, because when Cobra Kai came out, when Karate Kid came out, I was 10 years old. Therefore, psyched to watch Cobra Kai. Cobra Kai is, to me, what the Mighty Ducks is to somebody who was 10 in 1993. So power to you if you want to watch it. I will not be watching. It's just not something I connected with. It's like asking somebody my age if I'm into Paw Patrol. No, because I wasn't 6 when Paw Patrol came out, but I was into Sesame Street and the Electric Company. So if there's a Paw Patrol reboot in 30 years, people that are 5 now will love it at 35, and I'll be like, whatever, when's the Sesame Street reboot?
Yeah.
Catch my drift?
We're a Coco Melon household in my house. I don't know if you ever got into the Coco Melon. If you haven't, avoid it, please.
What's that?
Don't do it. I'm not even going to tell you because I don't want to bring you into this world, Ken.
I was going to say,
how old are you guys, though?
Don't bode well for your Frozen.
Well, I'm 29. Max is a little bit younger, but I have an 8-year-old.
Oh, so you guys are loving the Mighty Ducks thing, then? You guys are pumped. You guys are pumped. That's fine. That's cool. Yeah. That's cool. It was after my time, boys. So.
But here's the thing, Ken. I think I've watched the first couple episodes. I think you would connect really well with Lauren Graham's mother character, who's the main character in the show. I think you'd really connect because she's not a big fan of analytics. She's not a big fan of over preparing kids. I think you'd be good. I think you could connect pretty well.
Well, that's why I connect with Johnny Lawrence in Cobra Kai. He hates the internet.
It's perfect.
He's old school. He likes 80s rock. It's easy for me. I hate the internet. I love the 80s.
New season's coming out right away, so I'll be tuning into that as well because I was a big Karate Kid. Yeah, they have a new season coming out soon. I don't know if it's in the fall or when it is, but I think they've started production.
Yeah, I thought it was October. The fall's not soon, though. I mean, I was telling my camera guy last night, Vinny, October or November. Yeah, that's not soon. You had me pumped. I thought it was coming out next week.
Sorry, no.
But I was going to go get in my gi when I got home.
Relative to
karate moves when I got home and stuff.
Relative to it not being around before it was created, it's coming out pretty soon. That's what I meant.
I see. Well, there's no concept of time anymore anyway, right?
Is it? What day is it? I don't even know.
Just kind of hanging around Tuesday, I think, or something like that.
So, Ken, what's on the horizon for you? What are you looking forward to in the next little while here in terms of Sportsnet, Central, everything that's going on in sports right now? Like, what's coming up next for you?
Just getting excited. I just love baseball, man. When it comes back, just getting in that groove of coming out of games every night is so much fun. Trade deadline day, obviously, that's coming up on Monday, so I have to wake up early and be at work on that day. That'll be a long time. I'm on Tim and Friends tomorrow, which is fun on Wednesdays. And, man, nothing better than Stanley Cup playoff hockey. Can't wait for those 2 all-Canadian matchups, man. I just love it when, and I want to see passion, man. I love the game played with passion. I don't like the game played with a computer. And when the playoffs come around, it's played with passion. And, I mean, we just got a replay down there of the Oilers and Flyers from 87. I mean, that is just awesome. So I want that, and I want to see guys, just do whatever it takes to win. And, and the best thing about the Stanley Cup playoffs, and it's funny, too, because it's one of the things that people complain about when it comes to hockey. And it's like, the superstars, they aren't promoted enough. And I agree with that. And they'll say, and then in the playoffs, some no-name will score the winning goal. I'm like, yeah, but that's the beauty of it. Because in hockey, unlike basketball or, say, football, like in basketball, LeBron can play 40 minutes. Your best player's on the floor for 40 minutes, I'd say 80% of the game. In hockey, let's say your best forward's Sidney Crosby. He's probably on for 45% of the game, maybe 23 minutes. And I just think that it's so cool that it takes everyone in hockey. And that is my favorite thing, that these heroes emerge. I love that. And I love every spring, or in this case, summer, to see what heroes emerge in the Stanley Cup playoffs. It's something I just dig, man. I love those stories about a John Druce or a Dave Lowry back in the Florida days, or, Steve Montador with the Flames in 2004. I love that stuff, and I can't wait to see who that guy is this year, along with, of course, superstars who always rise to the occasion.
Absolutely. Well, Kenny, we'll let you get back to it. Thanks for joining us again the second time. If you haven't already, it's not a bestseller yet, so let's make it one to remember by Ken Reid. Go check it out.
It might be a bestseller, but I'm going to advertise it as not yet.
But who keeps track of those things? Am I right? Who's counting?
But I have no idea, to be honest. And when you do become a bestseller, you don't get a trophy or anything. It's just they print it on your next book. But I'll take it. Better than nothing.
Put it on your resume. Put it in the portfolio, and you're good to go.
I have it tattooed on the small of my back. Yeah, it's pretty awesome. It's in Latin, so no one knows what it means. Yeah.
There you go. Well, say hello to Ivanka for us, and we're excited to have her back.
She'll be right there.
We'll see you again probably soon, Ken. We'll stay in touch.
Thanks a ton, Ken.
Thanks, Bart. Thanks, Max. Pucks in deep, boys. See you later.
Absolutely. That's a good motto. And, of course, our video guests, as always, are brought to you by our good friends at IKS Media. IKS Media is your premier destination for event planning, WHL hub cities, allegedly, and live broadcasts and entertainment, video screens, and so much more. Visit iksmedia.ca today for more information and find out how they can make your event the hottest ticket in town. Hopefully we can get tickets to events soon. Again, that'd be nice. Always the best seat in the house with IKS Media. When we come back, we got our Bluebird block. We're talking Blue Jays, and we have a ton to go over. We just talked a little bit with Ken Reid about it, but we're going to dive a little deeper. So stay tuned, and we'll see you after the break. Don't rack your brain trying to source the equipment and materials you need for your business. Rockstar can operate your entire supply chain, from PO creation to expediting your shipments, all from our office. Leverage the buying power of the Rockstar Buying Group to not only save money and time, but also the headache. From gloves to glue, we can provide it for you. Find out more at rockstar.com.
Comfort has always been something we as people strive for. It means that the places we live and work, and that the people we care most about, are able to go about their lives focusing on the things that matter. While the world seems to be facing one challenge after another, our focus at FlameTech has remained the same for more than 20 years. Now more than ever, we need each other to support our local businesses. As an industry leader in combustion services, we are proud to attend to the needs of our communities and support the local economy.
He's covering everything that matters to you. It's the Rod Peterson Show. Tune in live Monday to Friday, 10 a.m. to noon to catch the show live and be a part of the action. Take control by commenting live and sharing the show with your friends.
Everyday hoop life.
IKS Live. IKS Live. Western Canada's premier production services company. LED sign rentals. Video production. Event management. Look no further than IKS Live. Visit our website. IKS Live. Always the best seat in the house. IKS Live.
All right, welcome back. Man, that was a great chat with Ken Reid. But let's bring Max back in if we can, guys. Max, are you still kicking?
Still kicking, my friend. Still kicking.
All right,
Hard
good.
not to after that interview.
We're just going to read a few of the comments here, and then we're going to get into our Bluebird block for the night, the Blue Jays report. We have a ton to talk about with the Jays. And, you know, that interview actually went a little longer than I thought it was going to. But, hey, we're rolling. We're okay. So a couple of comments coming in. Chad Andrews checking in from our TikTok page. He says, 404 Leafs fan checking in. Thanks for joining us, Chad. Adam Schultz says Mark Giordano might just go to Seattle. I don't know who would take Bennett. Johnny Gaudreau will probably go home, which I believe he means to Boston. Get something for him while we can. Robin Wildy says, is there an audiobook read by Morgan Freeman? I don't know if Ken Reid has Morgan Freeman money to get his audiobook read by Morgan Freeman, but I think he does have an audiobook, I think. So check that out if you want on Amazon. I'm sure it's over there somewhere. Chad Isaac, what does he think about Team Canada? For the under-18 team, we'll have to talk to him about that next time. Adam Schultz says Bedard. This was an interesting one. Robin Wildy, we talked to Ken Reid, and this was the question we posed was a player from the past who would thrive today. Robin Wildy says Robbie Schremp. That's a good... Remember Robbie Schremp?
I do remember Robbie Schremp. Yeah, no, unfortunately, it didn't quite pan out in his time, but yeah, in today's game, he could certainly be a player for sure.
Yeah, that might be interesting. Chad Isaac, I'm 43 and I love the Mighty Ducks. Hey, Chad, that's fine. A lot of people do. Brett Furnell is checking in. Coco Melon, all you have to do is play the soundtrack and the kids come running. Hey, that works for me every time. So that's a lot of good comments coming in here. Thank you guys for checking us out over on Facebook.com/thesquadcast. Dylan Fournier asks, weird take, but why the flip-flops, Clark? Hey, it's spring. As soon as the flip-flops come out, they don't go away. So it's flip-flop season, baby. I'm wearing flip-flops all the time now.
You talking about your teams, or are you talking about your attire? What are you talking about here? Sorry, I just figured I'd ask, you know.
I got the flip-flops. Oh, what are we doing? Sorry, I keep moving on you. There we go. I got the flip-flops,
Oh, no, Darren
baby.
Dupont has rubbed off on you.
Yeah.
I got to get back there.
It's springtime. It's summer season. I'm not putting them off. I'm not taking them off now. But hey, Max, let's get into it. We got the Bluebird block. We got a ton to talk about. So let's get right into. Oh, there we go. Should I sit over here? No, there we go. We're good. Can you any chance you can move that to like the bottom corner for this segment, guys? Okay, Jordan's gonna work on it. I will sit back up to my normal spot. But let's start it off, Max. We got the rotation now. I don't know. Can you give me an update on what's going on with Tanner Roark right now?
Well, he long ago left the game, thank goodness. Tommy Malone came in and did some decent relief work, but the Jays are still down 6-3 as a result of a couple of early bombs given up by Mr. Roark.
Okay, yeah, fair enough. What inning are we in?
We are in the top of the 8th right now. Jays are down to their final 5 outs for the evening.
All right. Well, you never know with this lineup. It's one of
Cabin's
those lineups
up, though.
where
We got ourselves a chance. We got some quick boppers in this lineup that could do some quick damage. So
well, that's what I mean. It's one of those lineups where, if you're down by 3, you're not out of the game any night. So
not at all.
That'll be a good game to kind of keep your eye on. So let me know as we go. But the rotation outside of this game,
in case you were wondering.
What's that? Sorry.
Said the Preds won tonight, in case you were wondering, but
Hey, save that for the next segment. This is the baseball segment. The rotation has been solid. So we talked earlier. Hyunjin Ryu had a great outing in the first game against the Yankees. Then we got great outings from Steven Matz the other night, and the rest of the rotation's looking pretty good. So Max, we kind of talked about it earlier in the show, but for those who might just be checking in, the Jays have to feel pretty good right now about most of their performances so far, you'd think.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think TJ Zoik came out and threw a really good 4 innings of work the other day, scoreless baseball. And I mean, that's really all you can ask for out of guys that are asked to be the next man up mentality this early in the season. I don't think it was in anybody's forecast that Robbie Ray would be down, Nate Pearson would be down this early in the year. But the guys have stepped up. Like I said, I mean, at the end of the day, they're in a ball game right now to go 4-1. And I know we read a lot into the records very, very early into a 162 game season. But by all accounts, through 4 games, the starters have done their job. Like I said, outside of Roark tonight, but it's overall been very, very encouraging to see. I'd like to see a couple less walks. That would be, I guess, my only critique right now is leaving a few too many guys on base, letting guys get on early in innings. But outside of that, this rotation's done its job and then some.
Yeah, absolutely. And another note, Robin Wildy's just checking in. Rowdy Tellez has hitting 0 right now. His average is 0s across the board. He's got to get going. Absolutely. He's a big bat in the lineup, so it's going to be an important one to get going. But speaking of big bats, Bo Bichette becomes the fastest Blue Jay to ever reach 100 career hits. He did it in 78 games, whereas I call him Alexis Rios. I know it's Alex. Everyone called him something different. I remember him as Alexis Rios. He did it in 85 games. Devin Travis did it in 93. Man, we were talking about Devin Travis before the show. Yeah. That was so too bad. And now he's coaching with the Atlanta Braves, so good for him. Brett Lowry, another one. He did it in 94 games. Man, Brett Lowry and Devin Travis, 2 guys that if they would have just stayed healthy and stayed in the lineup and stuff would have gone a little differently, they could have been superstars in this league. It's unfortunate. Vladdy Jr. did it in 96. Lourdes Gurriel also did it in 96. But Bo Bichette's out here doing it in 78. He's an absolute stud. You said too many walks. They'll get that cleaned up. I kind of agree, but you kind of mentioned that already. The defense has been very, very good. And Max, you were talking about Marcus Simeon before the show. Can you talk about his impact from what you've seen at second base so far?
Yeah, absolutely. I think it was no secret to a lot of people that Marcus Simeon coming in, that a lot of people maybe projected that he would play short as the elder statesman to Bo Bichette, and maybe Bo Bichette might move over to second for a year. But really, at the end of the day, that made no sense from Jump Street. If you're going to develop Bo as the franchise guy, you got to have him at shortstop like he originally intended. And by all accounts, he's filled the role quite nicely. But Marcus Simeon is that nice, calming presence that allows you to breathe easy over at short if you're a guy like Bo. He's a guy that you can bounce ideas off of, who's been doing it for a long time. A lot has been made of the school of Wash that Marcus Simeon attended. Ron Washington, a very famous defensive-minded coach who worked with Simeon to work out some of his defensive issues when he was a young young guy coming up. But at the end of the day, Marcus Simeon has been a very calming presence on the defensive side of the ball, making some very, very key plays. And he'll continue to fill out that second half of the double play tandem quite nicely throughout the year. And I really like what he's done with his bat, too. It's been a very welcome addition for the 1 year, $18 million price tag.
Absolutely. Now, I'm just hearing reports that Bo Bichette, as we talk about him, gets a home run at 6-4 now. Jays are still behind,
yes,
but
sir.
At least it's a little closer now. So I'm telling you, man.
That'd be 2 tonight. That'd be 2 tonight.
2 home runs for Bo. So I'm just telling you, this lineup is crazy. They're never out of a game. Kevin Biggio's looking at home at third base, and I'll just build on that Vladdy Guerrero is looking pretty good at first base. I think we need to give him a little bit more credit where credit is due. Everyone is buying into their role on this team, perhaps no better than Randall Richik. We talked about Randall Richik earlier. He's one of your happy surprises, if you want to call him that. It's going to be interesting when George Springer gets back, with Jonathan Davis getting some time in the outfield. Lourdes Gurriel, obviously, Teoscar Hernandez there. I wouldn't call it a bad problem to have, but Max, it's still going to be an interesting one. What do you think when George Springer, what happens when he comes back?
Yeah, at the end of the day, I think, and they're making a lot of it on the broadcast of, hey, it's never a bad thing to have 10 everyday quality players, right? So you're going to see guys rotate in and out. You're going to see some guys DH that otherwise wouldn't DH. But at the end of the day, that just means you have a chance to go to your bench. And there's a lot of games in this 162 game season where you're looking down the line and you're saying, okay, we need a big hit from somebody who's capable. And it might not be you starting in left or right or center that day. But if you're a Blue Jays outfield, you always got to be ready to go, especially when it comes to a young ball club that's going to be in some tight ball games. Again, that next man up mentality. And I think a lot of these guys have the commonality of they're ready to win. They want to win. They have the desire to win, and they have the ability to win. So when it comes down to it, at the end of the day, no matter if it's Lourdes Gurriel sitting, if it's Randall Richik sitting, if it's George Springer having a day off, Teoscar Hernandez, a Silver Slugger Award winner, it does not matter. You have to be ready to go, and you have to be ready to fill a role regardless of if it's in the 7th, the 8th, or the 9th inning. You might only get one at bat that day, so you got to make it count and just be ready to contribute to a ball club that wants to win.
I love it, and it's a great mentality to have, and it's good when there's intercompetition, within your own team, when guys are pushing each other to be better because they have to be or they lose their job.
And injuries happen. That's the thing.
Exactly. There's always injuries. So if a guy's hot behind you, that's not a bad thing. Now, 2 more notes on this. Julian Merryweather. All you have in the notes is wow. Julian Merryweather, for those who might not know, was the famous player to be named later in the Josh Donaldson trade back in 2018, over 3 years ago now. And he's finally making an impact for the Jays after a few years of kind of like, oh, what's this guy going to be? He's nothing. But he's coming up through the ranks. He's finally healthy, and it sounds like he might have found a role near the end of the bullpen. What are your thoughts so far on the fireballer, Julian Merryweather?
Man, who would have thought that we'd be talking about him as the closer to be named later? I certainly didn't think that we'd see any sort of save opportunities coming out of his arm when we acquired him for Josh Donaldson 3 summers ago. But man, this guy has just been electric. I don't preface it to say a kid because, as Ken Reid alluded to earlier, he's like 29 years old, bit of a late bloomer, has had some injury trouble. But man, when you have that ability to throw 99 upwards of 100, when he gasses up, he got it to 100.4, I believe. And then he's got a changeup that drops off the table at like 18 miles per hour lower than that. Oh man, talk about changing speeds and just messing with a hitter. They have absolutely no idea what's going on. And his just stoicness, you could really see it in his save opportunities. The man emits no emotion whatsoever. He's out there to do a job, and that's get 3 outs, get back to the ball club with a W, and he is taking that role very, very seriously. And through a very, very brief audition, man, I wouldn't be taking the ball out of his hand in the 9th inning because there is nobody better suited for that role in terms of his body language as well as his performance so far.
Absolutely. He's proven that he wants to be there and that he has a role at least late inning specialist for sure. Jordan Romano might have something to say about that. I'm loving him as well so far. Rafael Dolis is still kind of trying to carve his spot on the team as well. So there's some good options there. It's not a bad problem to have. Again, a good problem to have. Our last note, and this isn't directly Jays related, but it kind of is. Rougned Odor is a Yankee. Is a New York Yankee. He got released from the Texas Rangers, and he is now a member of the New York Yankees. So if there's any way for a guy you already hate to be more hated, just sign with the New York Yankees. So, Max, what are your thoughts on this Rougned Odor to the Yankees move?
You know what? As a fan of storylines, and we all remember those summers fondly in 2015, 2016. At the end of the day, the Jays get the last laugh. I think the funny moniker to come out of that is I'd rather get punched in May than knocked out in October, which is always a funny moniker that's stuck. And when you look at the Rougned Odor, Jose Bautista scuffles from those years, man, it provided some electrifying series whenever the Jays and the Rangers became very unlikely rivals. They're not in the same division or anything like that, but man, it led to some really, really powerful and emotional and hate-filled series. And you know what? We can thank Rougned Odor for that, because quite frankly, he was the catalyst for all of it. So hey, if he's going to be wearing pinstripes, that just gives all the more reason to cheer against the Yankees, because at the end of the day, like I said, if you're a Jays fan, you hate him. If you're a Rangers fan, you love what he brought to the table those years.
Well, there's still a couple of outs remaining in tonight's Blue Jays game, so we'll keep you on top of that as we go. We have one more segment left in the show, but that was the Bluebird Block presented by RBI Baseball and Softball Training here in Regina. If you want to get better at baseball yourself, or if you have a child who might want to improve their skills or get one-on-one coaching, check out RBI Baseball and Softball tonight. Go over there right now if you have to. Check out their website, Facebook, or Instagram. At RBI, they rise above the rest, and they're doing some great work with a lot of kids right now, making some big improvements for a lot of people. And some kids are getting some big opportunities because of it. So check out RBI. We should probably be getting Chris or Coach Roddy back in here pretty soon for a chat. So we'll have to do that before too long. But we're going to head to a break. We got one more segment left. I think it's just kind of an open segment, if I'm not mistaken. We have some stuff we couldn't talk about, so make sure you send in your comments. Send in your questions now over on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitter, and we'll get to them if we can, but we'll see you right after the break. Don't rack your brain trying to source the equipment and materials you need for your business. Rockstar can operate your entire supply chain, from PO creation to expediting your shipments, all from our office. Leverage the buying power of the Rockstar Buying Group to not only save money and time, but also the headache. From gloves to glue, we can provide it for you. Find out more at rockstar.com.
Comfort has always been something we as people strive for. It means that the places we live and work, and that the people we care most about, are able to go about their lives focusing on the things that matter. While the world seems to be facing one challenge after another, our focus at FlameTech has remained the same for more than 20 years. Now more than ever, we need each other to support our local businesses. As an industry leader in combustion services, we are proud to attend to the needs of our communities and support the local economy.
He's covering everything that matters to you. It's the Rod Peterson Show. Tune in live Monday to Friday, 10 a.m. to noon to catch the show live and be a part of the action. Take control by commenting live and sharing the show with your friends.
Everyday hoop life. Let's get it, baby.
IKS Live. IKS Live. Western Canada's premier production services company. LED sign rentals. Video production. Event management. Look no further than IKS Live. Visit our website. IKS Live. Always the best seat in the house. IKS Live.
Hey guys, just scrolling Facebook and checking out the SquadCast Facebook page. I am no longer on TikTok, so no more distractions for me. Max, one topic that I would love to get to before we end off the night. It just came out. We talked about it before the show. And Jason Hunt just commented on it along with Patrick Janex. So let's get to Patrick Janex's comment first. If you can put that up on the screen for me, boys. With Regina getting that new ballpark, first off, it's not happening yet. It's just a proposal. But with Regina getting the new ballpark, where's the new rink supposed to go? And Jason Hunt says, I like to ask about Regina Red Sox, their press conference tomorrow. What do you think it's about? So let's get to that right now. The Regina Red Sox dropped a bomb later in the afternoon today, saying that they're having a press conference tomorrow at 11 a.m. Saskatchewan time with a drawn picture of a baseball park that is not currently one that we have here in town. So it kind of started a bit of a spark. Patrick Janex, he's already saying that with Regina getting a ballpark, where's the rink going to go? Because there was proposed to be a rink in that area as well. Now, for those of you who are in Regina, the proposal is that it's going to be right basically across the street from Gabo's nightclub, which is, hey, it's an area. But it's going to be right across the street in that big empty space from there. So that's going to kind of take over that area. It looks like a nice little development. I don't know what else they have planned for that spot, but there's usually, along with when you're trying to do one thing, it has to come with other stuff, whether that's commercial, industrial, or residential, whatever it happens to be. But Max, like you and me both grew up playing baseball in this town. What would it mean for Regina to have a 3,000 seat? I've seen the number 3,000 seat stadium that has some production value to it in this city.
You know what, man? At the end of the day, I tell you, it's a bit of a bittersweet moment. It's certainly not the days of Curry Field that I grew up in literally my back neck of the woods, growing to love and going to Red Sox games. But I tell you what, I think the first foul ball I ever caught at a pro baseball game was for the Winnipeg Goldeyes. And I tell you what, there's just such fond memories of that stadium in Western Canada and seeing the growth of baseball and seeing the work that our partners at RBI and North Regina Little League have put into the development of youth baseball. Why doesn't this city deserve a fantastic complex to be able to show off and show that this is a hub for baseball now? I'm incredibly excited at the prospect of the idea. I think it's something that they could do some seriously cool things with, top to bottom, start to finish. Like I said, let's see this proposal. Let's see what it looks like. Let's get excited about something for all of the people that have been putting so much effort into growing the reputation of baseball in this community. And I certainly can't wait to see what the plans look like. And like I said, if it's something that possibly houses a Western Canadian Baseball League team like the Red Sox, or whatever it may be, whatever the endless possibilities are, I'm extremely excited for this city and what it can show in terms of a baseball grand scale in the prairies.
Chad Isaac is saying 3,500 to 4,000 capacity. I played all my games at Optimus Park in Columbus back in the day. So yeah, I've heard anywhere from 2,500 now to 4,000. So I think that would be great. If you haven't been to Winnipeg, the Goldeyes facility is next to, basically as close to a professional ballpark as you can get. In this part of in this neck of the woods.
Would a fair comparison almost be kind of like the Ralph Engelstead in college hockey to almost like an NHL landscape? I don't know. Maybe that's a bit of a stretch in terms of comparison, but the Goldeyes facility is second to none in terms of Western Canada, in my humble opinion.
Yeah, well, it's an independent pro league, so technically it is a pro ballpark, but it feels like you're at like a big minor league baseball game. So it's just great, and I know anyone who enjoys going to a baseball game will tell you it's the best sport to go to live. It's just so relaxing. There's something in the air, the crack of the bat. As our big voice guy Rick Regan says, the crack of the bat. But that's it's something about it. I love being at it, and Curry Field's got its benefits, got its pros and cons, but to have a specifically built, stadium with bleachers and everything built specifically for baseball, not just thrown in after the fact, would be next level. And I think it would, like you said, Regina's been growing in the baseball community so much of the last 5-10 years, basically since you and I stopped playing baseball in the minor baseball system. A lot has happened here, and there's been a massive development in terms of the skills of all these kids, and It'd be super cool for this community and this province to have something like that. You know, Saskatoon had something like that. It was a very nice ballpark, Cairns Field up in Saskatoon, but it's no longer operational. They tore down the bleachers. I don't know if you knew that, Max. They've renovated it into a whole new facility. So it's not there. They lost their WCBL team, WMBL, whatever you want to call it. They had the Saskatoon Yellow Jackets. They lost them about 10 years ago, or maybe not that long, but close. So, you know, it's not the same. Now, if we could build something big here in Regina, somebody asks, where would you put the new rink that's being proposed? If Sean Semple has anything to say about it, the rink will go wherever the heck he wants to put the rink. So don't worry about it. Sean Semple will figure that one out. Just let him figure that part out.
Don't you worry.
Yeah, I worked for the guy for 3 years. If he wants something done, it's happening. So if he wants a new rink, it'll happen. He'll tell you where it's going. So there you go. Robin Wildy said, I saw my first WNBL game 2 years ago. It was the Game 1 League Finals, Regina versus Okotoks in Regina. It was awesome. Those crowds there were fantastic. And again, the vibe at a full-packed baseball game is unbelievable. I love it. My dad's checking in. Fastball was huge in Saskatoon. Great diamond. Absolutely. There's a lot of great history up in Saskatoon. Chad Isaac, what was the capacity in Moose Jaw's diamond when I believe the Mad Dogs played? I think it was the Diamond Dogs, Chad. It was the Moose Jaw Diamond Dogs, and I think, if I'm not mistaken, they were like a farm team for the Anaheim Angels back in the day, I want to say. I think. And actually, I don't know if you remember this name. I think it was Chad Wooten. He was a catcher for the Angels. He played there, I'm pretty sure, in Moose Jaw. I think that was his name. Dad might remember, actually, if you're watching, Dad. If you remember the old Diamond Dogs games, those were fun. But the capacity there was probably, I don't know, maybe 1,000. Like, it's not that big. It's a very nice ballpark. I love Ross Wells and Moose Jaw. It's one of my favorite ballparks to play a game in. But I don't know if it was much more than 1,000. Robin Wildy said, we stood by the fence at the home bullpen in Regina. There's some great seating in that facility for sure. Max, a couple other things I wanted to get to before Adam Schultz was saying that the ballpark is going to go where Mosaic Stadium should have gone. That's a whole nother conversation. My dad is saying that it was Wooten. Yeah, it was Wooten, and it was with the Diamond Dogs back in the day. If you remember when the Angels went to the World Series way back, he was on that team.
2002. Yep. Wow.
Yeah, he was on that team, and this was he played in Moose Jaw in like the early 90s. So, yeah, there you go. My fun fact for the day. Max, is there anything else that's tickling your fancy before we shut her down for the night?
Tell you what, not tonight, my friend. Thank you very much for welcoming me back in the saddle. Thank you, all the panelists, and I can't wait to finally be back in studio. This was a fantastic night with a ton of great conversation and a fantastic guest, as always, in Ken Reid. It definitely scratched my itch to talk some sports, so thank you all very kindly.
Yeah, I'm going to do a quick shout out to our good friends over at Hoop Life Basketball. Speaking of high-level baseball facilities, they have something in the works that I think a lot of people are going to be interested in this province. Can't say much more than that. But have you downloaded the Hoop Life Basketball app? Make sure you do that. And if you use the promo code SQUAD10, you can get 10% off all of their apparel, all of their camps, everything they've got going on at Hoop Life. So check out hooplifebasketball.com, and you can see everything they have available. That includes some of their training programs, some of their apparel, like I said. And if you check out their app, they have all of their training programs on there for you, including their overtime virtual training feature where you can have one-on-one sessions with coaches on the app directly. So we're going to check out for tonight from the basement of the bunker. Actually, I should say tomorrow on the Rod Peterson Show. This is a good one, guys. You might want to tune in. We have Jackie Redmond from the NHL Network. I've been working on getting Jackie booked for this show for so long. So we got Jackie Redmond coming on with the voice of the Brandon Wheat Kings, Brandon Crow, coming in hour 2. He was on this show just a couple weeks ago. Now he's coming on Rod's show. And Darren Dreger, the trade deadline's coming up. Dregs is going to give us a full update tomorrow morning. So tune in for that. We got a lot going on. Next week on the SquadCast, Max, can we bring Max back in for a sec? Max, the trade deadline is on Monday. Our show is on Tuesday. Now, I haven't confirmed this yet, but we've been talking about a certain guy who I think would be really good. And potentially, he's a former Maple Leafs analyst, former Leafs TV host. And he said he would come on. I just have to book it. But Paul Hendrick, I'm thinking, is going to be our guest next week. What do you think, Max?
That sounds fantastic to me, my friend. Hopefully a lot to break down with Henny. And like you said, that would be a fantastic guest. Absolutely.
So look forward to that. All I got to do is send him a message and see if it works out timing-wise for him. But looking forward already. He's one of the guys I've wanted to have on this show since day one. I've been saying his name to Max since day one. So if that works out, looking forward to it. But from the basement of the bunker, we're going to sign off for tonight. I don't know how we are on the over-under. Did anyone set an over-under today? Ken Reid went. What was it, Jordan? Were you under or over? Oh, so we're under. Max, good job. We're under. It was 8:45.
Awesome. Yeah,
so from the basement of the bunker, I'm producer Clark. Mad Max, shout out to you. Thanks for coming back on. Producer Alan and director Jordan everybody in the back room. And for our friends at Rockstar Supply Chain Solutions, Vigor Lifestyles, IKS Media, Hoop Life Basketball, RBI Baseball Training. Shout out to everybody who tuned in tonight. Appreciate everybody. And the closing lyric, I have one this time. Hey, I just met you, and this is crazy. But here's Kyle's number, so call him maybe. It's hard to look right at you, Mikhail baby. Are you talking about Granlund? But here's Kyle's number, possibly. So call David Poyle, Kyle Dubas. Did anyone get the reference? So call David maybe. There's some trade deadline stuff in brewing, and maybe by the end of this night, we might actually see a trade. But for now, we will see you on next week's episode of the SquadCast. Bye for now.
Lose 7-4.
Ah.